So the new Nintendo Direct happened recently, and at the very end there was this new Zelda game remake, and it was fairly interesting. For it was Link's Awakening, which I think was well overdue, for it has been around for over a quarter of a century. They chose a new, bold choice of art style, which I think looks beautiful, but I can see why it's controversial. But anyways, today that's not what we're here. We're not going to be gushing over how the game looks. I'm just going to do that in my own free time. What we're here for today is, what does this mean for the future of 2D Zeldas? First things first, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild throws a huge, gigantic, stupid wrench into the future of 2D Zeldas. The reason for this is, how are you going to market something like Triforce Heroes while in the same system as a Breath of the Wild? It's really tough. And it's nothing against 2D Zeldas. Heck, I bought a Game Boy Advance just so I could play Four Swords. I love 2D Zeldas, and it's gonna be sad to see them go by the wayside. So I want to see Nintendo to pump out stuff. Link to the Past is a great game. Link Between Worlds was an amazing game. So when I saw the Link's Awakening remake, I took a sigh of relief because I saw that Nintendo still had at least a little bit of interest in the series. I am super intrigued to see how they're going to market this against something like Breath of the Wild on the same system. But it's a little bit scary because if they're not successful, 2D Zeldas could fall by the wayside. I mean, at least we still see that they're still giving it a chance. And it's also cool to see because this is the first 2D Zelda since, I believe, Minish Cap. And that was 15 years ago. That hasn't had a quote-unquote gimmick. Triforce Heroes was like an online multiplayer sort of deal, which was kind of weird. Link Between Worlds had that whole thing where you were in the Link to the Past world, had the Link to the Past characters and enemies, which was kind of weird. And then the DS games, they had the whole touchscreen mechanic, which isn't too bad. It's just we're getting used to. So the last one without a gimmick was Minish Cap, which was over 15 years ago. And I mean, I'm excited to see this new remake, but it's also a little bit scary to see how this turns out. Because maybe it's going to be a start and say, yes, 2D Zelda does work on the Switch, and we could get a 2D Zelda with its own story, its own world, its own characters. Or maybe we're just going to start getting remakes of other Zelda games. We don't know. And I hate to say it, but maybe we won't even get any more 2D Zelda games on the Switch, which is scary. Granted, I don't think that'll happen because Zelda's always been a pretty good selling series, but it is always a possibility. We do not want to rule it out. I will say, though, by the looks of it, this game is honoring the original to its core. I mean, we saw the Chain Chomp enemy that they could have easily removed and changed it to a Zelda enemy, but it's cool to see that they kept that reference in a lot of the old stuff. And we also saw the Goombas in that one weird platforming section in the game. So with them honoring, that's a little bit scary to see. Oh, are they just going to be a rehash and they're just going to do the same game with new graphics, which wouldn't be bad. It's not a bad game, but I would want to see more added to the game, which it looks like they're doing because they added those bird statues, A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. And I mean, I don't recall them being in the original game, but that would be cool if they weren't and they're adding new features, even if they are just quality of life. So maybe this Zelda game could be earning the quote-unquote deluxe title, as we've been seeing recently with like New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, which would be really cool. But no matter how many new features they add, it won't matter because they have to market it against Breath of the Wild on the same system, which is going to be super challenging because it's a big open world game against something that kind of looks like an indie game, which is kind of their own fault because of the way the art style is. And it's not a bad art style. I love it. It's just the Breath of the Wild open world 3D appeals to the mass market more than this style game does, at least from what recent market data has shown. So the marketing to people with no history with the series is going to be tough, but maybe Nintendo is just going to market it to older Zelda fans like you and I who have been with the series for a long time, which is actually a really valid point. But then again, are there enough of us to push the sales numbers to tell Nintendo, hey, 2D Zeldas are profitable, we want more 2D Zeldas? I mean, of course, yes, we're gonna have good sales numbers. There's a lot of 2D Zelda fans, a lot of Zelda fans, period, that are probably gonna buy this game. It's just then again, they have amazing sales records for the past few years on the Switch, so it doesn't matter because if this only sold like 3 million, which would have been great on something like the Wii U or even on the 3DS, if it's on the Switch, they're like, ooh, that's not very good. That it might still be like, okay, this was pretty good. I don't know if we should make another one. We're fine. That's all I'm gonna say. There's a lot of older Zelda fans who have been with the series for a while that are gonna get the game, and the sales numbers are gonna tell Nintendo 2D Zelda's good. So there's not much we need to worry about. It's just whether or not they'll make another one. They're gonna make a profit. We know that. I believe the average Zelda title sells around 5 million. So the biggest issue is just probably going to be getting new fans into the series, and Breath of the Wild is actually going to make that easier. Thanks, Breath of the Wild. You finally helped 2D Zelda with something today. Because so many fans are introduced to Zelda with Breath of the Wild, so they're going to be like, Zelda, 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 Zelda. So they're going to pick up this game and be like, wow, this is different. And they might be intimidated to not play it, but those who do stick around will probably enjoy the game, love the game, and fall in love with the series even more, and consider picking up older titles. Man, every time a Nintendo Direct comes around, it's crazy. It sends me on an emotional roller coaster. Anyways, what do you think about this topic? Please let me know down below. And anyways, I'll probably see you in the next video. So, see you later, and stay rad.